Hello and welcome back, adventurers. Sit back, get comfy, and let me take you on a journey through the danger-filled jungles of Sri Raji. But before we start, I just want to mention that Sri Raji is modeled heavily on our own world, India, and its people and religion. So please, treat this land with respect. Or, if you feel like taking a step back from the 90s and adapting this domain without borrowing a lot from real life, check out the DM's Guild adventure Phantasms of Sri Raji. Link is in the description. Sri Raji is a land of tropical forests and crumbling ruins, where people live according to traditions as old as time, and cover in fear from the dread Maharaja. Enormous hardwood towers around travelers in the forest, the limbs heavy with vines, mosses and orchids. Green dampness permeates everything, as heavy rains batter the forests each night. The thickets echo with a cacophony of animal life, from the buzzing of parasitic insects, to shrieks of monkeys to the growls of prowling tigers. Ancient temples and shrines peek through the verdant shroud in places, hinting at forgotten secrets. To the northwest, the Ahasha Mountains climb toward white wisps of mist, as lush as the surrounding lowlands. Broad, muddy rivers meander down from the mountains, their banks swarming with listless crocodiles. Eminent among these waterways is the sacred Damu River, which flows from the legendary Baru, the cursed city. Sri Raji cities are walled bastions of civilization, surrounded by vast rice fields. Within the city gates, throngs of filthy beggars swarm everywhere, clamoring for a single coin. The muddy streets are strewn with diseased corpses and dung of buffalo and elephants. The contrast with the city's spectacular architecture is striking. The blocky buildings are constructed of stone brick and finished with plaster, which is often painted with colorful trim. Slender columns, delicate lattice work, and colorful drawings adorn even the humblest homes and shops. Rajians are dark-skinned people, short in stature but blessed with trim builds. Men cut their hair short, regarding long hair as barbaric. Women, however, grow their hair throughout their lives, pulling it back and braiding it into a single lock. Clothing is made of light cotton, dyed with vibrant colors of every hue. Men wear loose shirts and wrapped leggings, often covered with long coat, and don cloth caps or turbans. Women traditionally wear a sari, a single swath of cloth wrapped around the body and worn over the shoulder, and cover their heads with shawl when going about in public. Rajians respect tradition and religious conviction above all else, perhaps blindly so. Since the ancient customs have proven their worth, the Rajians see little reason to give them up. Nonetheless, they are practical people, and have equal admiration for battle prowess, artistic talent, and scientific ingenuity. The illustrious University of Tvashti encourages the latter trait. Within its libraries and temples, the wisest scholars study all facets of technology and natural world. Most traditions in Sri Raji are rooted in a complex, cyclical view of the cosmos. The Rajian gods are countless and interrelated, with one deity often regarded as a manifestation of another. A central tenet of Rajian culture is reincarnation, a constant cycle of rebirth that comprises all living creatures. This concept is entwined with the domain's rigid caste system, such that fulfilling proper role in this life ensures that one is born into a higher caste in the next. The terrible Maharaja Arijani rules from his palace in Mahakala in the cursed city of Baru. Arijani is actually the high priest of Kali, the Black Mother, though none dares object to his self-proclaimed title of Maharaja. In truth, though Arijani's shadow falls darkly over Sri Raji, he is a reclusive ruler. Each day, a single Rajian is chosen as a sacrifice to Kali. That person then journeys to Baru on the albino elephant, never to be seen again. Apart from this horrific practice, Maharaja demands little from his subjects, though his cleric spies are everywhere. Although the clerics are of higher station, the nobles perform the actual task of governance. They levy taxes, control trade, and organize city militias, though most nobles also have their own private armies. Perhaps the most powerful of Sri Raji's secret organizations, the Dark Sisters, is a tool of the dreadlord Arijani. From his temple in the ruined city of Baru, he sends them out to do his bidding. This cult of Kali is under orders to report the arrival of any outsiders to Arijani, and then to dispose of them. The second secret society of this domain was created by an outsider by the name of Jahid. He was hunted by the Dark Sisters, but escaped into the jungles and vanished without a trace. For a while it was assumed that he had fallen prey to the deadly perils of Sri Rajian wilds. But as dangerous as the jungle was, Jahid was more deadly, for he was a were-tiger. In time, he created others of his kind, and gradually drifted into the clutches of Ravana. In 4 places in Sri Raji, humanity has managed to fight back the ever-advancing foliage and carve out settlements for itself. 3 of these enclaves of civilizations are villages of Pakat, Tvashti and Muladi. The 4th is the accursed city of Peru, with the temple home of Arijani at its heart. Although it is home to nearly 2,000 people, Tvashti is the smallest of Sri Rajian cities. It is built on the western banks of the River of Blood and rests in the center of seemingly endless rice paddy. The majority of the people living in the city are either farmers or fishermen. By day they work outside the city, but at night they return to the safety of Tvashti walls. At the center of the city is a great temple dedicated to the god Tvashtri, Sri Rajian god of science and technology. The buildings around the temple comprise a great university, for nothing is more valued in Tvashti than knowledge and intelligence. It is believed that the origin of the figurines of wondrous power can be traced to this university, to a scholar known as Javar Josh. Working with the local artisans, he created several types of figurines and attempted to invest them with the great powers. He was successful, but in casting his spells, he called upon the magic that was forbidden. Within a week, he had been slain by objects to which he had given life. Those who follow in his footsteps always seem to meet their end in the same manner. The second largest city in Sri Raji is Pakat. Like the other towns in the domain, it is ringed by a series of rice paddies. However, the jungle around Pakat is far more savage than it is elsewhere in Sri Raji. Numerous predators and carnivorous plants make it much harder to keep the wilds from reclaiming the lands the farmers have cleared out for themselves. When this fact is combined with the large population of the city, it produces a general shortage of food. Near the center of the city is a temple dedicated to Sri Rajian goddess Ratri. While there was once a splendid palace, the pressures of keeping the city's people alive have caused it to shut resources away from the temple's upkeep. A small staff of priests, led by the high priestess, still live in the temple and do their best to maintain it, but they seem to have little success. What isn't generally known is that a vast underground complex has been built beneath the temple. The second temple is dedicated to Shiva, the goddess of destruction. Ratri withdrew her support from the crumbling building decades ago, and the priests of Shiva moved in. They slaughtered Ratri's followers and built their own temple. Muladi, with its crushing population of nearly 8,000, is by far the largest city in Sri Raji. Although hunger is not a problem in Muladi, crime and violence are. This great city is built on the shores of Lake Veda and, like the other cities, is ringed by a network of rice paddies. Because the lake water is badly tainted, the rice crop is seldom good. Further, plagues of parasites and waves of disease seem to sweep through the paddies with uncanny regularity. Because of this, the major component of Muladian diet is fish and seaweed. The cultural center of the city is on the waterfront, where a large temple has been built to the goddess Rudri. People of Muladi are constantly assured by the priests that the jungles around the city and depths of the lake are filled with monsters. If not for the mercy of Rudri, they profess, the city would be overwhelmed by nameless horrors. The northwestern regions of Sri Raji are dominated by the towering mass of Mount Yamatali. It rises nearly 1,000 feet above the jungle canopy below, vanishing into the swirling mists that border the domain. Near the top of the great mountain is an artificial plateau that has been carved from the living stone and a great metropolis built. This is the city of Baru, at the heart of which dwells the dread Arijani in his foul temple of Kali. The city itself lies in ruins, having been consumed long ago by the virulent fronts of the jungle. No one lives within the city, for it is awash with the frightening terrors of the ravenous jungle. Rumors abound of great wealth, but none are foolish enough to travel to this dread place in search for it. Baru was once the beating heart of a great empire that spanned hundreds of miles. It is in that ancient time and forgotten city that Arijani's story began. Arijani's mother, Mahiji, was a high priestess of Kali. She was known and feared far and wide for her power and cruel cunning. One day, a traveling assassin came to Mahiji's temple. He was taken in by the priestess, who planned to use his deadly skills to further her own goals. Gradually, the two became lovers, bound by a common thread of evil and fiery passion. Despite that torrid affair, the assassin never revealed anything of his past. It wasn't long before Mahiji became pregnant. When the assassin learned of the impending birth, he went berserk. Mahiji was nearly killed, but managed to escape. The assassin was never seen again, but his nature became apparent when the child was born. Arijani was clearly the child of Rakshasa. Numerous divination spells later revealed to Mahiji that the assassin had been an avatar of Ravana, the Rakshasa deity. Her child, Arijani, was the son of a god. Mahiji was horrified at the thought that her actions might have been seen as a failure in her devotion to Kali. In order to make amends, she took the child to the altar and prepared to offer him to the goddess. But when she arrived, Mahiji was greeted by the avatar of Kali. To Mahiji's surprise, the goddess was not displeased. Rather, it seemed that her actions had been according to some dark plan of the Black Mother, and the priestess gave her child in the care of the avatar. The avatar of Kali took the child and found him a home in the Rakshasa community of Baru. Normally, having a father of such great power and stature like Ravana would have ensured Arijani a place among the most prestigious of the Rakshasa. However, the lowly status of his mother, being a human, made him an object of ridicule and scorn. At an early age, Arijani began to cultivate the seed of hate that his parentage had planted within him. As the years passed, the contempt that he felt for the rest of his kind became all-consuming. Keeping his developing magical abilities hidden, he began to plot against his kinsman. At first, Arijani's actions were subtle. He would arrange for those Rakshasa going among men to be discovered and destroyed. Gradually, the fearsome Rakshasa became the hunted of Baru instead of hunters. Finally, Rakshasa woven to take back the night and started their war against humanity. For nearly a week, the streets of Baru were red with the blood of men. The Rakshasa, overcame with a wild blood frenzy, killed every inhabitant of the city. The humans did not die without a fight, though. Dozens of Rakshasa were slain by those capable of fighting. In the end, the great metropolis was left a burning, shattered ruin. From a tower overlooking the city, Arijani watched the carnage and laughed. Ravana was appalled by his son's action. He saw Kali's hand in what had been done, but recognized that his power was not sufficient enough for him to challenge the Black Mother himself. Still, he could not allow the slaughter of his followers to go unpunished. Ravana sent his avatar to destroy Arijani, but the Rakshasa was ready for it. He lured the avatar into the temple of Kali. There, in the very room he was born, Arijani and his mother overpowered the interloper. In an effort to save his life, the avatar offered to grant Arijani a wish. He accepted, calling upon Ravana to make him invulnerable to attacks by Rakshasa for all time. The avatar agreed, but insisted that Arijani vow to free him and forsake his crusade against the others of his kin. Arijani promised, and the wish was granted. Unlike Ravana, Arijani was not a creature of his word. Laughing at his father's foolish trust, he destroyed the avatar with a specially blessed crossbow bolt known as Ravana's Bane. With this final act of treachery, Arijani sealed his fate. As his head was thrown back in maniacal laughter, the smoke from the burning city swirled about the temple, gradually becoming the mists of Ravenloft. Thank you so much for your time, patient listeners. If you want to travel to the beautiful land of Sri Raji, remember, Arijani will not be happy until you are devoured by him or by the jungle. So please, be careful while crossing the mists.